Hey everyone, welcome to my cattle panel greenhouse. Today I'm going to do a video on how I built it from start to finish, and I actually just finished today, so if I'm wearing the same outfit on the last part of my video, you know why. So to start, I thought I would go kind of do a very brief summary of how I built the greenhouse, and then towards the end of the video, or after I'm done this part, I'll go into a little bit more detail and add some videos of the actual build itself. It took me about 2 weeks to build the entire greenhouse from start to finish, and that's for several reasons. You definitely can build this in a day if you have an entire day of really good weather and you're good with tools and your tools all work. Definitely this is attainable in one day, or at least a weekend at minimum. But yeah, it took me 2 weeks to do because we had some bad weather. My drill wasn't working properly, but my friend gave me his impact driver, so I was able to finish things a little bit quicker once I got that done. And then just time, some of the other weekends we had some other stuff going on. Oh, there's a bee. That means I smell good, right? So yeah, I had some other things going on, so that's why I wasn't able to build it as quickly as maybe some of you would be able to build at home. So yeah, let's do a little tour of the greenhouse. All right, let's start at the beginning. The greenhouse is 10 by 12 feet. The base is framed up using, it's kind of hard to see now that the plastic's on, but there's, so this is a 12-foot side, and there are 2 6-foot sections next to each other, and then another 2 6-foot sections on top of those. On the inside, which I'll show you in a second, they're braced with 2x6s every like 1.5 feet, every 2 feet. And then on the back here, there's just one brace so that stopped it from bowing outwards once I put the cattle panels on. The front of the greenhouse, the base is 2 2x4s next to each other to create basically a 4x4 base along the front here. And if I walk along to the back, it's kind of hard to see once again with the plastic on, but the base here is just framed out, so there's a 2x4 on the bottom, a 2x4 right there, and then 2x4s every like 23.5 inches. So I built the frame first, or the base I should say. Ooh, it is steamy in here. My camera might fog up a sec. My glasses definitely did. So here's the inside. So those are the 2x6s that I was just telling you about. So they're about every like 1.5 feet. And then in the middle where those 4 2x6s meet each other, I have 3 2x6s next to each other to give it as much strength as possible, because that's where those 2 boards meet and I didn't want it to be a weak spot. You can see the inside of the framing a little bit better. So there's a 2x4 there, a 2x4 there, and then those are framed every like 23 inches, sorry. And then same thing on this wall. And then to put the cattle panels on, I started actually with this end here, put it on, braced it, and then I originally used these little cable staples here, but I ended up using these braces as well, and I'll tell you why in a second. So if you're going to build a cattle panel greenhouse, this is something that I haven't seen on any other videos, but it's a good tip, and maybe I just was the one that made the mistake like an idiot. But when you're putting your cattle panels on, make sure that the bars that are going this way, so the short way of the cattle panel, are flush towards the boards, because that makes it easier to put your staples on. So that one's nice and flush, this is super flush. What I did with this second cattle panel is I put the rows of metal going this way towards the inside of the greenhouse. So what's actually happening is that these long rows of metal aren't sitting flush against the board, which made it really hard to use these staples. You can see here that this one's like super loose, easy to take out. So I actually had to switch to these screw-in braces, which is kind of nice because you can screw them in. They seem really secure. So what I ended up doing in the end is using a combination of the cable staples and the cable braces. I don't know exactly what those are called. And it's super secure now. Like, even though these are loose, they're still in there because of the the braces that have been screwed into the wood. So just a tip if you are building your own cattle panel greenhouse to watch out for. So once I had the cattle panels all up, I zip tied them with some UV resistant zip ties so that they don't break, and that just makes sure that the whole cattle panel greenhouse structure acts as one in the wind, so nothing's going to move like opposite of each other and kind of tear the greenhouse apart if there's some heavy winds. So just zip tying them together kind of keeps them all as one unit. The next thing I did after that was frame out the window. So to frame out the window, I took the measurements, did this main part first, so this big rectangle, and then I attached it to the frame using this base, so screwed them in that way, added the side braces, and then hung the window using door hinges so it opens out this way. I have it screwed shut right now because I still haven't found a hinge for it, so I will add a hinge once I find one. But the window opens outwards, and as you can see, it's like not a super snug fit. It was actually really difficult for me to frame out the window. Once again, that's probably just more to my building skills than anything, but it does open, and the air gaps are a little bit nice because it is very warm in here right now. And then the next thing that I did was frame out the door. So similar idea. I put up the outside frame of the door, added the braces, and then I made the door frame, the frame of the actual door itself afterwards, and I made sure that it was measurements that fit inside the actual door frame itself. The hinges are just regular hinges, door hinges that have been put on. The latch here is just a door latch. Pretty simple. I do recommend adding a brace like this because if you don't, the door is very flimsy. It'll go like this way and that way. And then, before I forget too, before you put your plastic on, you want to add like a pool noodle type. I got these ones from Home Depot. They're in the plumbing section. So adding the plastic on was the only part I actually had to ask for help with because it's not difficult, but having someone help you hold it down while someone else is stapling makes it way easier. So you can build most of this by yourself, but that last part, definitely just ask for help. It took us like maybe an hour to put the entire tarp on and staple it, and then cut out the window and the door frame. And I basically wrapped the entire greenhouse like a Christmas gift. So we started on this side, secured it, so stapled this side, pulled it over, stapled the other side, and then we like wrapped the door. So if you can see here, we kind of just like folded it in on itself, so it's not completely flush. There's kind of areas of pockets here that you can see, but then we kind of just made it as smooth as possible and then stapled it to these braces all around the door frame. And then we just essentially cut out the door frame after, and then it opened. It took a little bit of maneuvering, but we got it to open. And then the final thing that we did was add these anchors in. So these anchors are twisted into the ground. Then there's a metal cable that goes into the greenhouse, wrapping these 2x4s, and then is bolted on the other side. And then that's basically it. I did add some landscape fabric just to make the ground a little bit nicer. And here I'm just going to add to the video a list of all the supplies that I used. And that's basically the summary of the build. Now I'm going to include some videos and some more details of exactly how I went about building the entire greenhouse. So if you don't want detail, this is the end of the video for you. If you want some more detail, please continue watching. I hope you enjoyed this video of my cattle panel greenhouse build. I'm so excited to get stuff into the garden and into the greenhouse, which I'm actually going to do right now. But if you like this video, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave them down below. I would love to hear how I could have improved the cattle panel build, or if you built one and you found it was easier to do X, Y, or Z. I would love to hear it. So please leave any comments down below. And I hope you have a great week in the garden, and I will see you next time.